Yes, a lot of people highlight other claims that Ron made about, he said that he found a pillar at Nueva Beach that was lying down in the surf. And there's no question
and
that
that would be still in this area?
That's right. Yep.
Okay.
At Nueva Beach. The pillar, you can see photographs online because after he discovered it, is a smooth red granite pillar, a little bit corroded on the side that was lying down. And later on, the government erected it and set it up in concrete there. And so there are photographs of this online. You can see what it looks like. Ron also says across the way on the Saudi Arabia side, he found an identical pillar. He identifies both pillars as of a Phoenician style. And he says the pillar on the Saudi side had an ancient Phoenician inscription, which he had translated, and it contains words like Yahweh and Pharaoh and Moses and Solomon. And what Ron Wyatt is alleging is that since Solomon had ships in the Gulf of Aqaba here, that he set up a pillar to commemorate the Red Sea crossing on both sides of where the crossing took place. And so this is a demonstration that, yeah, there really was a Red Sea crossing in this area, and Solomon knew about it and created these pillars.
All right, so if there are Phoenician pillars on each side there of that Gulf, what's the criticism of that?
Mm-hmm. Well, there's really no reason to believe that it's true apart from the word of Ron Wyatt. The one pillar we have, which has no inscription. The pillar that he claimed that has an inscription, it's disappeared. There's no photographic evidence of it. And there is evidence against it in terms of the style of the pillar that we do have. Actually, there's no reason to assert that it is Phoenician. It looks highly, highly similar to Roman pillars from a much later time period.
And they are very distinctive. You can tell a Roman pillar.
You can, and they have them at sites that, I've seen these in person at sites in Israel and in Egypt.
Right.
The same look of the pillar as the one that's standing there at Nueva Beach. And so why should we believe that there was an inscription of Solomon when we only have the word of Ron Wyatt, and he's demonstrably not a trustworthy source?
I want to make sure I understand that. But so he's saying that Solomon had commemorated the crossing by having pillars at both sides?
On both sides, yeah.
Okay, that would be certainly an interesting find if it was credible.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
Keaton, I think I know your heart for the reason behind this segment is to help people who perhaps they've put their hope in this crossing and all. So what do you say to them now that you've dispelled this as a potential site? How do you help them have hope?
Yeah, I understand. I'm sympathetic with anybody that would be very disappointed by saying, oh, I thought this had great evidence for the Bible, and now I don't have that anymore. But I would say we have all kinds of evidences and arguments. You can search on creation.com and find some of the articles we've written on archaeology, for example, that does support the Bible. There are powerful things, even oftentimes when skeptics have criticized the Bible in the past and said, it's mistaken in this area, there's a Bible blunder here. Oftentimes, new archaeological discoveries have overturned the claims of these skeptics and vindicated the Bible. And so examples of this would be in the time of David and Solomon, for example. We have this amazing find of the name of David from a king that lived several hundred years later who referred to his dynasty that he established, the House of David, where many people were saying, like, David might not have even existed or wasn't as powerful as the Bible says. And archaeology continues to support that there was a powerful kingdom at that time, different cities and so forth that show, yeah, there was a united monarchy. There's actually a trend in archaeology at this time that's pushing back against the skeptics of David and Solomon and so forth. And later parts of biblical history, people can search for my article about King Belshazzar. That was another one where many of the critics said the Bible got this wrong. Mm-hmm. We know who the last king of Babylon was, Nabonidus, and Belshazzar never existed. It's a Bible blunder. But no, in fact, we found all sorts of records later on that mention Belshazzar as the firstborn son of Nabonidus. And the book of Daniel tells us that Belshazzar offered Daniel the third highest position in the kingdom. And that is a subtle testimony that the Bible knew that Belshazzar was actually not the highest king, but a co-regent with his father, Nabonidus. Both were reigning at the same time, and the Bible knew about that level of detail. It gives us accurate history. And so we don't need to leap on claims that are more disputable or problematic because we have abundant confirmation that the Bible's history is true.
And speaking of which, you have a resource, Archaeology Confirms the Bible, and you want to tell us just briefly about that?
Yeah, this is a video that we'll make available for a free stream. It's a lecture I gave a few years ago with just kind of an overview of lots of these particular kinds of evidences from archaeology that show the Bible gives us true history. And it begins with the time of the Exodus and works its way through the Old Testament, gives a few things from the time of Jesus in the New Testament, Pontius Pilate and so forth. We've discovered in the archaeological record. And so it's a great video for people to watch just to get, their feet wet in this area and see how the Bible's history has support from the evidence.
And that link is in the description. Keaton, thank you so much. I know I have personally benefited from your expertise, and I know our viewers will as well. So thank you so much.
I've enjoyed it as well. Thank you.